The judge's laughter echoed through the courtroom. The 25-year-old black maid stood there in her faded blue uniform, hands cuffed, patches visible on her worn apron. "You speak 12 languages?" Judge Mitchell chuckled, his gray hair catching the light. "And how exactly will that help you, young lady?" Maya Robinson kept her eyes steady. In 3 hours, she would make him eat those words. What the judge didn't know was that the quiet maid who cleaned toilets had spent 2 months listening to her boss's Russian phone calls, reading her Chinese emails, and translating her Arabic bank transfers. The woman everyone ignored was about to send a millionaire to prison and walk out with an FBI job offer. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. "Where is my diamond necklace?" Victoria Sterling screamed, her face red with anger. "I know you took it. I saw you going into my bedroom during the party." Maya Robinson stood frozen in the mansion's kitchen, still holding a dishcloth in her trembling hands. She had been washing crystal glasses when Victoria burst in with her security chief following close behind. "I didn't take anything, Mrs. Sterling," Maya said quietly. "I was just cleaning up after your guests." Victoria Sterling laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Of course that's what you'd say." "Robert, show her." Robert Chen, head of security, turned his tablet toward Maya. The screen showed security footage of Maya entering Victoria's bedroom during the dinner party. Maya stared at the image in confusion. "That's not possible," Maya whispered. "I never went into your bedroom tonight." It was 7:30 in the evening on a Friday in April. The grand mansion in Fairfield County, Connecticut sparkled with the remnants of an elegant dinner party that had ended just 1 hour earlier. Maya had been working non-stop since 5 o'clock in the morning, preparing the 12,000-square-foot home for Victoria Sterling's important business guests. "Call the police," Victoria ordered Chen, not taking her eyes off Maya. "I want her arrested immediately." 25-year-old Maya had worked as a live-in maid for the Sterling family for 2 years. She lived in a small room in the servants' quarters, earned minimum wage, and spent her days cleaning, cooking, and fading into the background. What no one in the Sterling household knew was that Maya spoke 12 languages fluently, a gift from growing up with her grandmother Eliza, who had worked as a United Nations translator for 20 years. "Mrs. Sterling, please," Maya said. "There must be a mistake. I would never steal from you." Victoria stepped closer. "The necklace is worth $75,000. It's been in my family for 3 generations. And you thought you could just take it?" Maya kept her voice calm despite her racing heart. "I don't know anything about your necklace. I've been serving food and cleaning dishes all night." 2 hours before, Maya had been silently moving through the dining room, refilling water glasses and clearing plates. The dinner guests were wealthy business associates of Victoria's real estate empire. They barely noticed Maya as she worked efficiently around them. "More wine, Richard?" Victoria had asked a silver-haired man seated to her right. She wore her diamond necklace that night, the stones catching the light from the chandelier above. "Wonderful party as always, Victoria," the man replied, holding up his glass. "Your new development in Boston sounds fascinating." Maya moved quietly around the table, picking up on conversations in various languages. To her surprise, she heard Victoria speaking fluent Russian to a businessman seated at the far end of the table. "Перевод будет завершен к понедельнику," Victoria had said softly to him. "The transfer will be completed by Monday." This caught Maya's attention because Victoria had often complained about needing translators for her international business deals. Yet here she was, speaking perfect Russian. Now, as Maya stood accused in the kitchen, she thought about what she had overheard. But there was no time to piece it together as the mansion's doorbell rang. "That will be the police," Victoria said with satisfaction. "Robert, don't let her out of your sight." 2 police officers entered the kitchen 5 minutes later. They were tall men in dark blue uniforms, their faces serious, as Victoria explained the situation. "We have clear security footage," Victoria told them. She entered my bedroom at 9:47 while I was giving a toast downstairs. The necklace was on my dresser, and now it's gone." The officers turned to Maya. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us to answer some questions." "I didn't take anything," Maya repeated. "I've worked here for 2 years without any problems." "She's had access to my jewelry before," Victoria continued. "I noticed her paying special attention to my necklace last week when she was cleaning." This was another lie. Maya had never shown any interest in Victoria's possessions. "Do you have the necklace on you, ma'am?" one officer asked Maya. "No," Maya answered. "You can search me if you want." The officer nodded to his partner, who stepped forward with latex gloves. They searched Maya's uniform pockets and found nothing. "We'll need to search your room as well," the first officer said. 20 minutes later, after tearing apart Maya's small living quarters, the officers returned empty-handed. But Victoria wasn't satisfied. "She could have hidden it anywhere in the house," she insisted, "or given it to someone. The footage doesn't lie." The officer turned to Maya. "We're going to have to take you to the station for further questioning." "Can I make a phone call?" Maya asked, thinking of her friend Zoe Washington, the only person who might help her. "You'll be allowed to make calls at the station," the officer answered, though his tone suggested otherwise. As the officers led Maya through the mansion's grand foyer toward the front door, staff members peeked out from doorways. A few dinner guests who had stayed late watched with curious expressions. Maya kept her head high despite the humiliation burning in her chest. Victoria stood at the doorway, arms crossed, watching as the officers guided Maya toward the police car. "I trusted you in my home," Victoria said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "This is how you repay kindness." Maya said nothing as they placed her in the back of the police car. Through the window, she saw Robert Chen standing behind Victoria, his face unreadable as he watched her being taken away. At the police station, Maya sat alone in a small interrogation room for 3 hours. The walls were pale green, the table metal, and a large mirror covered one wall, obviously a two-way mirror. Despite asking twice, she had not been allowed to make any phone calls. "Ms. Robinson," a detective finally said as he entered the room with a folder. "I'm Detective Williams. Do you understand why you're here?" "I've been accused of stealing Mrs. Sterling's necklace, but I didn't take it," Maya replied. "We have you on video entering her bedroom during the exact time the necklace went missing," he said, opening the folder to reveal printed images from the security footage. Maya leaned forward to look at the photos. It was definitely her in the images, but she had no memory of entering Victoria's bedroom during the party. "That's not possible," she said. "I never went upstairs during the party." "The footage says otherwise," Detective Williams replied. "Mrs. Sterling will be pressing charges for grand larceny. The value of the necklace makes this a felony offense." Maya's heart sank. "I need to call someone. I'm allowed one phone call, right?" "You'll be assigned a public defender in the morning," Detective Williams said, standing up. "For now, you'll be processed and held overnight." As Maya was fingerprinted and photographed, the reality of her situation became clear. She had been set up, but she didn't understand why. Victoria Sterling, with all her wealth and power, had targeted her specifically. In the cold holding cell, Maya sat on the metal bench and closed her eyes. She thought about the conversations she'd overheard at the dinner party. Victoria speaking Russian about transfers, the nervous glances between Victoria and Robert Chen when certain guests arrived, the private phone call Victoria had taken in her office speaking Mandarin about final arrangements. Maya had always kept her language abilities secret, believing that being underestimated had advantages. People spoke freely around the Maid they assumed couldn't understand them. But now, as she faced serious criminal charges, Maya realized her hidden talent might be her only way out. As dawn broke outside the small window of her cell, Maya made a decision. If no one else would speak for her, she would use her own voice, all 12 versions of it, to fight back against Victoria Sterling. The woman who had treated her as invisible was about to discover just how much Maya had seen and heard in that mansion. A guard approached her cell. "Robinson, you're being transferred to the county courthouse for arraignment in 1 hour." Maya nodded, her mind already working through what she would say to the judge. No one expected the maid to defend herself, but that was exactly what she planned to do. The guard led Maya through a long hallway in the Westchester County Courthouse. Her wrists hurt from the handcuffs that were too tight. It had been 3 days since her arrest at the Sterling Mansion. 3 days of sitting alone in a cell, thinking about the security footage that supposedly showed her stealing a necklace she never touched. The courtroom was filled with people. Reporters sat in the back rows with notebooks ready. Maya spotted Victoria Sterling sitting in the front row, wearing an expensive cream-colored suit. Next to Victoria sat a tall man in a dark blue suit who Maya guessed was her lawyer. "Sit here," the guard said, pointing to a wooden chair at a table on the right side of the courtroom. A tired-looking man with messy gray hair approached Maya. "I'm Thomas Reed, your court-appointed legal advisor," he said quietly. "We don't have much time, so listen carefully. The evidence against you is strong. They have video of you entering Mrs. Sterling's bedroom when the necklace went missing." "But I didn't," Maya started to say. Reed held up his hand. "Save it. I've been doing this for 20 years. The best option is to take a plea deal. They're offering 7 years, but I might get it down to 5. 5 years? Maya whispered. "For something I didn't do?" "Look, I've seen the footage. It's you, clear as day," Reed said, checking his watch. "Judge Mitchell will be here any minute. He doesn't like to waste time, and he especially doesn't like household staff stealing from employers. Just plead guilty and I'll do the talking." Before Maya could respond, a door opened at the front of the courtroom and a court officer called out, "All rise." The Honorable Judge Harrison Mitchell presiding. Everyone stood as a stern-looking man with white hair walked to the bench. Judge Mitchell sat down and put on reading glasses, then banged his gavel once. "Be seated," he said in a deep voice. "First case, the state versus Maya Robinson. Charges, grand larceny." Maya watched as Victoria's lawyer stood up. "James Whitaker representing the victim, Victoria Sterling, Your Honor." Thomas Reed stood up next to Maya. "Thomas Reed, court-appointed counsel for the defendant." Judge Mitchell looked at Maya over his glasses. "Ms. Robinson, you are charged with grand larceny of a diamond necklace valued at $75,000. How do you plead?" Reed nudged Maya to stand. She slowly got to her feet, her heart beating fast. This was the moment she had been thinking about for 3 days. Instead of looking at Reed, she looked directly at Judge Mitchell. "Your Honor, I wish to represent myself," Maya said clearly. The courtroom filled with whispers. Judge Mitchell banged his gavel again. "Silence," he ordered, then looked back at Maya with raised eyebrows. "Ms. Robinson, that would be extremely unwise. Mr. Reed is an experienced attorney who—" "I understand, Your Honor," Maya interrupted politely. "But it is my right to defend myself, and I choose to do so." Reed grabbed Maya's arm. "What are you doing?" he whispered harshly. "This is a terrible idea." From the corner of her eye, Maya could see Victoria smirking and whispering something to Whitaker. They both looked amused, as if watching a child trying to do an adult's job. Judge Mitchell frowned. "Mr. Reed, please share your thoughts on your client's request." Reed stood up again. "Your Honor, I strongly advise against this. Ms. Robinson has no legal training. The evidence in this case is complicated, and the evidence is a video that supposedly shows me taking something I didn't take," Maya said, standing up again. "I understand the stakes, Your Honor, and I still wish to represent myself." Judge Mitchell studied Maya for a long moment. "Very well. Mr. Reed will remain as standby counsel to assist you if needed. Now, how do you plead to the charge?" "Not guilty, Your Honor," Maya said firmly. "Bail is set at $50,000, Judge Mitchell said. "Next court date is 2 weeks from today for preliminary hearing." Maya spoke up again. "Your Honor, I request access to the evidence against me. particularly the complete security footage from the Sterling residence on the night in question. James Whitaker jumped to his feet. "Objection, Your Honor!" The defendant might tamper with evidence if given access. Maya remained calm. "Your Honor, under Brady v. Maryland, the prosecution must disclose all evidence that might help the defense. In Alvarez v. City of Brownsville, the court held that—" Judge Mitchell's eyes widened slightly, and Whitaker looked startled. Victoria Sterling sat up straighter in her seat, her smirk fading. "Ms. Robinson seems to have some legal knowledge after all," Judge Mitchell said. "Mr. Whitaker, the defendant is correct about her rights to discovery. However," he turned to Maya, "access will be limited and supervised. You'll be able to view the evidence but not possess copies." "Thank you, Your Honor," Maya said. After the arraignment ended, guards took Maya back to her cell. Thomas Reed followed, looking irritated. "Where did you learn to cite legal precedents?" he demanded. Maya shrugged. "I read a lot." Reed shook his head. "You got lucky today, but Judge Mitchell was just humoring you. The prosecution has video evidence of you entering the bedroom and leaving with something in your hand. 5 years is a good deal considering what you're facing." "I didn't take that necklace," Maya insisted. "The video must be fake or altered somehow." "Sure," Reed said sarcastically. "A wealthy businesswoman framed her maid for stealing jewelry. That makes perfect sense." He put a business card on the small desk in the cell. "Call me when you're ready to be serious. You get 1 phone call today. Use it wisely." After Reed left, a guard took Maya to a phone. She called the only person who might believe her, Zoe Washington, her friend who worked at the local community center library. "Maya, are you okay?" Zoe answered, sounding worried. "I saw the news about your arrest. I need your help," Maya said quietly, aware that the guard was listening. "I'm being framed. Could you look up some information for me?" "Of course," Zoe said. "What do you need?" Maya chose her words carefully. "Remember those books on international business we discussed? I need you to check if the author has any connection to the Sterling Foundation. Also, look for any news about Sterling properties dealing with companies in Russia, China, or Saudi Arabia." There was a pause as Zoe understood what Maya was really asking. "I'll start researching right away. How can I get information to you?" "Send it as legal documents to Thomas Reed, my court-appointed advisor," Maya said. "And Zoe? Thank you." Back in her cell, Maya sat on the narrow bed and thought about what she had heard at Victoria's dinner party. The Russian conversation about transfers, the nervous looks between Victoria and Robert Chen. There was something bigger happening, and Maya was sure her arrest was connected to it. The next morning, Maya was given limited access to the case files. She carefully studied the security footage screenshots, noticing something strange about the timestamp format on the bedroom camera compared to other cameras. She also saw that the report from Robert Chen stated the security system was tamper-proof and that only he and Victoria had access codes. Reed visited again that afternoon with another plea offer. 4 years instead of 5, he said. "This is the best you'll get." Maya shook her head. "I need to see the complete security footage. Something isn't right about the timestamps." Reed sighed heavily. "Look, Maya, you're facing grand larceny charges. The necklace is worth $75,000. That's 5 years minimum if you're convicted at trial." "I understand the risk," Maya said, "but I won't plead guilty to something I didn't do." After Reed left, Maya continued studying the files, making notes on a small pad of paper the guard had given her. She needed evidence from outside the courthouse, but with her freedom restricted, she had to rely on Zoe to find it. That night, as Maya turned off her cell light, a guard approached with an envelope. "Legal documents for you," he said, passing it through the bars. Maya opened it after the guard left. Inside was a note from Zoe. "Found something interesting about Sterling Foundation donations. Also, 3 other housekeepers accused of theft in past 5 years. All cases dropped suddenly. Will keep digging." Maya's heart beat faster. This was a pattern, not an isolated incident. As she tucked the note under her mattress, she heard footsteps approaching. A courthouse clerk she hadn't seen before stood outside her cell. "Miss Robinson? This was delivered for you today. It's marked as legal documents." He handed her another envelope through the bars. "Thank you," Maya said, taking it. The clerk looked both ways before whispering, "I saw what really happened that night." Not everyone in the Sterling house believes you're guilty. Before Maya could ask what he meant, the clerk walked away quickly. With shaking hands, she opened the envelope, wondering who in the Sterling household was trying to help her, and what they knew about Victoria's real plan. Maya's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note and a small memory card. "The security footage has been edited. I work in IT support for Sterling Properties and noticed the file timestamps don't match. Be careful who you trust. The memory card has the original logs." Maya quickly hid the card under her thin mattress as a guard walked by. This was exactly what she needed, proof that the footage had been manipulated. But without a computer, she couldn't access the files. The next morning, Maya woke up at 6 o'clock and began her new daily routine. She did 20 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, and stretched for 15 minutes in her small cell. Physical exercise helped her think clearly. She would need all her mental strength to fight Victoria Sterling. After breakfast, she was allowed to review the evidence files in a small room with a guard watching her. The security footage clearly showed someone who looked like Maya entering Victoria's bedroom at exactly 9:47 in the evening, when phone records showed Victoria was downstairs giving a toast. The footage showed the person leaving at 9:52, holding something small in her hand. Maya stared at the screen. "This is impossible," she said quietly. "I never went into that room." The guard, a woman named Lisa with short brown hair and tired eyes, looked over at her. "You know, I used to work security at private events before this job," she said. "Rich people think cameras catch everything, but that's not always true." Maya looked up, surprised by the friendly comment. "What do you mean?" Lisa glanced at the door to make sure no one was listening. "Security footage can be edited if you know how. I worked an event at Sterling Mansion last year. Their security guy, Chen, I think his name was, had fancy equipment. Very proud of his system." "Did he seem like someone who would do anything for money?" Maya asked carefully. Lisa shrugged. "Most people would, for the right price. I noticed something about your footage, though. The camera angles change slightly between frames. That's not normal." Maya leaned forward. "Can you show me?" Lisa pointed to the screen. "See here?" The view shifts about half an inch between these two frames, like it was spliced together from different times. "Thank you," Maya said, making a note on her paper. "That's very helpful." Later that day, Thomas Reed visited with more paperwork. 3 years, he said, sliding the plea agreement across the table. "I got them down from 4. This is the best deal you'll get, Maya. The prosecutor likes closed cases." Maya pushed the papers back. "I'm not taking a deal for something I didn't do." Reed sighed. The evidence has been manipulated," Maya interrupted. "The camera angles shift between frames." "It's been edited." Reed looked skeptical. "And who told you that? Your new friend, the guard?" "Someone who knows about security systems," Maya said vaguely. "Listen," Reed said, leaning closer. "Even if there are some technical issues with the footage, no judge is going to believe a maid over Victoria Sterling. She's one of the richest people in Connecticut." "Maybe not," Maya agreed, "but I still need to try." After Reed left, Maya requested her personal items from the night of her arrest. She especially wanted her small notebook where she wrote observations about the Sterling household. When the items arrived, she quickly flipped through the notebook and found the last 5 pages had been torn out, the pages where she had written notes about the dinner party. That evening, at dinner, Maya noticed the woman in the cell next to hers had extra paper. During the meal, she approached her. "Would you trade your paper for my dessert?" Maya asked. I need to write some notes for my case." The woman looked at Maya's chocolate pudding cup and nodded. "Take all of it. I don't need paper." Back in her cell, Maya began reconstructing her memories from the night of the party. She wrote down everything she could remember, the guests' names, the conversations she overheard, and most importantly, what Victoria had said on the phone in her office. Maya had been cleaning near Victoria's office when she heard Victoria speaking in a low voice. "Yes, the assets will move tonight," Victoria had said. "The distraction is perfect. No one will look at the accounts when they're busy with a theft investigation." At the time, Maya hadn't understood what Victoria meant. Now it made perfect sense. The missing necklace was a distraction from something much bigger. The next day, Zoe visited during regular visiting hours. She brought several books that looked like legal texts but had research materials hidden inside. "How are you holding up?" Zoe asked, her round face lined with worry. "I'm okay," Maya said. "Did you find anything about Sterling Properties?" Zoe nodded slightly. "The company has connections to businesses in Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia, but those connections don't appear on any official documentation. I had to dig through international business registries." "What about previous theft accusations?" Maya asked. "That's the interesting part," Zoe said, sliding a paper across the table disguised as legal notes. 3 other housekeepers in the past 5 years were accused of stealing from Victoria. All cases were dropped after the items mysteriously reappeared. Maya felt a surge of hope. This is a pattern. She's done this before. "There's more," Zoe whispered. "Each accusation happened right after one of Victoria's dinner parties. Just like yours." "I need you to check something else," Maya said quietly. "Look for international wire transfers on the dates of those dinner parties. Victoria might be moving money and using the theft accusations as a distraction." Zoe's eyes widened. "That's serious, like federal crime serious." "I know," Maya said. "Be careful how you research this. Use public records only." As Zoe was leaving, she slipped Maya a small, thin object under a napkin. "A friend who works in IT helped me format this. It should work with most computers." It was an adapter for the memory card the courthouse clerk had given her. Now Maya just needed access to a computer. Later that day, Maya approached Lisa during her shift. "The security footage," she said quietly. "Is there any way I could see the full version? Not just the clips they're using against me?" Lisa hesitated. "That would be against protocol." "I think I'm being framed," Maya said. 3 other housekeepers were accused of stealing from Victoria Sterling in the past 5 years. All cases were dropped after the items reappeared. This caught Lisa's attention. "That sounds suspicious," she admitted. "I'd need to check with my supervisor about getting the full footage." "Thank you," Maya said. "Also, is there any chance I could use a computer to review some digital evidence I've received?" Lisa looked around nervously. "I can't promise anything, but I'll see what I can do. The law library has computers for legal research. I might be able to get you in there." 2 days later, Lisa arranged for Maya to use the jail's law library for 1 hour. With the guard's help, Maya was able to insert the memory card into a computer. The files showed the original security logs from the Sterling mansion, and they told a very different story from the evidence being used against her. The logs revealed that Robert Chen had accessed the security system at 9:30 that evening, just 15 minutes before the alleged theft. There were also multiple edits to the bedroom camera footage at exactly 9:45, 2 minutes before Maya supposedly entered the room. Most importantly, Maya found a wide-angle shot from the hallway that showed her reflection in a mirror. She was clearly carrying cleaning supplies when entering a room near Victoria's bedroom, not leaving with something small in her hand, as the prosecution claimed. Maya quickly printed the key screenshots and hid them in her legal papers. This was the evidence she needed. When she returned to her cell that evening, she found it had been searched. Her notes were scattered on the floor, and the memory card was gone from under her mattress. Someone knew she had evidence, and they wanted to stop her from using it. The next morning, Thomas Reed visited with surprising news. "The prosecutor called me with a new offer," he said, looking confused. "They'll drop all charges if you sign a non-disclosure agreement and leave the state immediately." Maya felt a mixture of relief and suspicion. Why would they suddenly drop the charges? "I don't know," Reed admitted, "but it's a good deal. You'd be free today." Maya thought about the scattered notes in her cell and the missing memory card. Victoria was worried about what Maya knew, worried enough to drop a $75,000 theft charge. "Tell them I decline," Maya said firmly, "and I want a complete audit of the mansion's security system." Reed looked at her like she was crazy. "You're turning down freedom?" "Why?" "Because this isn't about a necklace," Maya replied, "and I think Victoria Sterling just confirmed it." As Reed left, shaking his head in disbelief, Maya noticed a courthouse clerk walking past her cell, the same one who had given her the envelope. He glanced at her briefly, and Maya saw fear in his eyes. Whatever was happening at Sterling Properties, it was big enough to scare people into silence. But Maya wasn't silent anymore. She had evidence of tampering, a pattern of false accusations, and a growing suspicion about what Victoria was really hiding. Now she just needed to find a way to present it all before someone stopped her permanently. Maya barely slept that night, thinking about the missing memory card and what Victoria was trying to hide. The morning of the preliminary hearing arrived with a surprise. As guards led Maya into the courtroom, she noticed camera crews in the hallway and reporters filling the back rows. "What's happening?" Maya asked one of the guards. "National news picked up your story," the guard replied. "They're calling you the Maid who would be lawyer. Quite the celebrity now." The courtroom was 3 times more crowded than during her arraignment. Judge Mitchell entered looking irritated by the media presence. He banged his gavel repeatedly to quiet the room. "This is a court of law, not a circus," he announced. "Anyone disrupting these proceedings will be removed immediately." James Whitaker stood at the prosecution table, but now he had company, a tall woman with sharp features and perfectly styled hair. "Your Honor, the prosecution would like to introduce co-counsel," Whitaker said. "This is Sophia Reynolds, former federal prosecutor." Judge Mitchell nodded. "Welcome, Miss Reynolds. Let's proceed without further delay. This is a preliminary hearing to determine if there is sufficient evidence to proceed to trial." Maya sat alone at the defense table. Thomas Reed had taken a seat behind her in the gallery, still officially her standby counsel but clearly distancing himself from her decision to refuse the deal. Whitaker approached the bench with theatrical confidence. "Your Honor, this is a straightforward case of employee theft. We have clear evidence that Ms. Robinson used her position of trust to steal a family heirloom worth $75,000. He turned to face the courtroom. "The prosecution calls Robert Chen, head of security for Sterling Properties." Chen walked to the witness stand. He wore an expensive suit and projected absolute confidence. After being sworn in, he sat with perfect posture as Whitaker questioned him. "Mr. Chen, please explain the security system at the Sterling residence," Whitaker said. "It's a state-of-the-art system with 24 cameras covering all entrances, hallways, and valuable areas," Chen explained. "The footage is recorded continuously and backed up every hour to secure servers." "And who has access to this system?" Whitaker asked. "Only myself and Mrs. Sterling have the security codes," Chen answered firmly. "Please tell the court what you observed on the night of April 20th, Whitaker continued. Chen looked directly at Maya as he spoke. At exactly 9:47 in the evening, the bedroom camera captured Ms. Robinson entering Mrs. Sterling's private bedroom. Mrs. Sterling was downstairs hosting a dinner party at that time. Phone records confirm she was making a toast to her guests. The footage shows Ms. Robinson leaving the room at 9:52, concealing a small object in her hand. Whitaker played the footage on a large screen. The image clearly showed someone who looked like Maya entering and leaving Victoria's bedroom. "Is this system tamper-proof?" Whitaker asked. "Absolutely," Chen replied. It would be impossible to alter the footage without leaving digital traces. When it was Maya's turn to cross-examine, she approached the witness stand calmly. Mr. Chen, I noticed the timestamp on the bedroom camera uses a different format than the hallway cameras. Can you explain why? Chen shifted slightly. It's just a system peculiarity. Different camera models sometimes display different formats. When were these cameras installed? Maya asked. The main system was installed 3 years ago, Chen said. Some cameras were upgraded 6 months ago. Including the bedroom camera? Yes. So the bedroom camera is newer than the hallway cameras, yet it displays time in an older format? Chen frowned. As I said, it's just a system peculiarity. Maya changed direction. Mr. Chen, where were you at 9:30 on the night of April 20th? I was monitoring the security office as usual during events, he answered quickly. The entire time? You never left? I stepped out briefly to check on the catering staff. Did you enter the security control room at 9:30 that evening? Chen hesitated. I don't recall the exact time of my movements. Maya wanted to present the missing screenshot showing Chen entering the security room, but it had disappeared with the memory card. She had to move on. No further questions, she said, returning to her seat. Victoria Sterling took the stand next, dressed in an elegant gray suit that made her look both professional and sympathetic. She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue as she described the necklace's sentimental value. It belonged to my grandmother, Victoria said. It's been in our family for 3 generations. Had you noticed any unusual behavior from Miss Robinson before the theft? Whitaker asked. Victoria nodded. In the weeks before, I caught her looking at my jewelry collection several times when she thought I wasn't watching. She seemed particularly interested in the diamond necklace. This was a complete lie, but Maya kept her face neutral. When her turn came to cross-examine, Maya approached Victoria carefully. Mrs. Sterling, you have properties in several countries, correct? Objection! Whitaker stood. Irrelevant to the theft charge. I'm establishing the witness's business activities as context, Maya countered. Judge Mitchell frowned. I'll allow a limited line of questioning. Proceed carefully, Miss Robinson. Maya turned back to Victoria. You conduct business internationally, correct? Yes, Sterling Properties has developments in several countries, Victoria answered coolly. And do you speak any foreign languages to facilitate these business dealings? Victoria stiffened slightly. No, I use translators. Really? No Russian? No Mandarin? Objection! Whitaker shouted, harassing the witness. Sustained, Judge Mitchell said. Miss Robinson, stick to relevant questions about the theft. Maya changed tactics. Has anyone else ever been accused of stealing from you, Mrs. Sterling? Victoria hesitated. I've had issues with staff honesty before, yes. How many housekeepers have you accused of theft in the past 5 years? Objection! This time it was Sophia Reynolds who jumped up. Prior incidents are irrelevant and prejudicial. Sustained, Judge Mitchell said firmly. The jury will disregard the question. Maya returned to her seat, frustrated but not surprised. The deck was clearly stacked against her. The prosecution's next witness was Patricia Dawson, another housekeeper who worked at the Sterling mansion. Ms. Dawson, did Maya Robinson ever mention Mrs. Sterling's jewelry to you? Whitaker asked. Patricia nodded. Yes, about 3 weeks before the theft. She asked me how much I thought the diamond necklace was worth. Maya's jaw dropped. This was a complete fabrication. She had never discussed Victoria's jewelry with Patricia or anyone else. During the mid-morning recess, Zoe managed to slip Maya a note. Patricia Dawson received $5,000 in her bank account 2 days after your arrest. Just found bank records. When court resumed, Maya immediately requested permission to recall Patricia Dawson. On what grounds? Judge Mitchell asked. I have evidence that Ms. Dawson received payment from Sterling Properties directly after my arrest, Maya explained. "Objection," Whitaker and Reynolds said in unison. "This is a wild accusation without foundation," Whitaker added. Judge Mitchell shook his head. "Request denied, Ms. Robinson. We're not going on a fishing expedition." The final blow came when Whitaker introduced a new piece of evidence. "Your Honor, police executed a search warrant on Ms. Robinson's apartment yesterday and found this." He held up a small paper in an evidence bag. "It's a pawn shop ticket for $70,000 dated April 21st, the day after the theft." Maya stood up. "That's impossible. I never went to any pawn shop." "The ticket was found in your nightstand drawer," Whitaker continued smoothly. "The pawn shop owner is prepared to testify that a woman matching your description came in with a diamond necklace." Maya knew the ticket had been planted. She had been in jail since the night of April 20th. She couldn't have gone to a pawn shop the next day. But proving that would require evidence she didn't have yet. After both sides presented their cases, Judge Mitchell made his ruling. "Based on the evidence presented, I find there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed the crime of grand larceny. This case will proceed to trial." He banged his gavel. "Trial is set for 2 weeks from today. Court adjourned." As guards prepared to take Maya back to jail, she noticed Victoria checking her phone. A text message made Victoria smile triumphantly before she tucked the phone into her purse and whispered something to Whitaker. Maya was almost at the door when she spotted the courthouse clerk watching her from the gallery. As their eyes met, he subtly nodded toward the hallway before slipping out a side door. Something in his expression gave Maya hope. The memory card might be gone, but perhaps her mysterious ally had found something else, something that could finally expose Victoria's real game. Maya was led back to her cell after the hearing, her mind racing. The courthouse clerk's subtle nod gave her hope, but she had no way to contact him directly. 2 hours later, when a guard delivered her lunch, she found a folded piece of paper hidden under the sandwich. "Check the Sterling Foundation's charitable donations to Mitchell Family Cancer Research." Maya stared at the note. This could explain why Judge Mitchell seemed biased against her from the start. If Victoria had donated money to the judge's family charity, it would be a serious conflict of interest. That afternoon, Maya used her limited phone time to call Zoe. "I need you to research something," Maya said quietly. "The Sterling Foundation's charitable donations, especially to something called Mitchell Family Cancer Research." "Mitchell? Like Judge Mitchell?" Zoe asked, catching on immediately. "Exactly. And I need information on a courthouse clerk named David Winters." "I'll see what I can find," Zoe promised. "By the way, I talked to my friend who works at the Public Records Office. She said Sterling Properties has been transferring large sums of money to overseas accounts right after each of those dinner parties." "I knew it," Maya whispered. "The theft accusations are just distractions." 2 days later, Maya received a visit from a young man claiming to be a legal assistant. Once they were alone in the consultation room, he revealed himself as David Winters, the courthouse clerk she had seen. "Why are you helping me?" Maya asked. David leaned forward. "I'm not just a clerk. I'm an investigative journalist for the Financial Times. I've been looking into Sterling Properties for months." Maya studied him carefully. "What have you found?" "Victoria Sterling uses charitable donations to influence officials," David explained. "And I believe she's laundering money through her international real estate ventures. The problem is, I can't publish without solid evidence." "And you think my case might expose everything?" Maya said, understanding dawning. David nodded. "After your arrest, I noticed Judge Mitchell was assigned to your case with unusual speed. Then I discovered the Sterling Foundation donated $200,000 to his family's cancer charity just 1 month before your arrest. That's a clear conflict of interest," Maya said. "Why hasn't anyone noticed?" "The donation was made through 3 different shell companies," David explained. "I only found the connection because I've been tracking all of Sterling's financial activities." David slid a folder across the table. I have press credentials that give me access to certain records. My colleague used them to get these documents from public archives. Inside were translated documents showing large international wire transfers from Sterling Properties accounts on the exact dates of Victoria's dinner parties over the past 3 years. The missing necklace is just a cover story, David said. The real crime is financial. But why frame me specifically? Maya wondered aloud. David shrugged. You were convenient. A domestic worker with no powerful connections. Perfect scapegoat. The next morning, Lisa, the guard who had helped Maya before, approached her cell. I pulled some strings, Lisa said quietly. You've got 30 minutes in the security office to view the complete footage from the night of the theft. Official request for your case preparation. In the small security office, Maya carefully reviewed the footage. Most of it matched what had been shown in court, but then she spotted something everyone had missed. In a hallway mirror, she could clearly see her reflection as she passed by Victoria's room. The reflection showed Maya carrying cleaning supplies in both hands. That's impossible, Maya said, pointing to the screen. If I'm carrying cleaning supplies here, how could I be leaving with something small in my hand in the bedroom footage? Lisa leaned closer. The timestamps match, but the images don't. Someone spliced footage from different times. Maya kept searching and found another crucial clip. It showed Robert Chen entering the security room at 9:30 that evening, just before the alleged theft. Can I get copies of these sections? Maya asked. Lisa shook her head. Too risky. But I'll make sure they don't disappear from the system. When Maya returned to her cell that evening, she immediately knew something was wrong. Her few personal items were out of place. The notes she'd hidden in her mattress were scattered on the floor. Someone had searched her cell thoroughly. The next day, Thomas Reed visited with an unusual offer. The prosecutor called me this morning, Reed said, looking confused. They'll drop all charges if you sign a non-disclosure agreement and leave the state immediately. Maya's eyebrows rose. They want me to sign an NDA for a theft case? I've never seen anything like it, Reed admitted. But it's a good deal. You could walk out today. What exactly would this NDA prevent me from discussing? Maya asked. Reed consulted his papers. Anything related to Sterling Properties, Victoria Sterling, her business associates, or your employment there. Maya smiled slightly. They're scared. Victoria isn't worried about a necklace. She's worried about what I might have overheard at her dinner parties. Don't be ridiculous, Reed scoffed. Why would Victoria Sterling, worth millions, care about what a maid might have heard? Because I understood her conversations in Russian, Mandarin, and other languages she claims not to speak, Maya replied. Tell them I declined the offer, and I want a complete audit of the security system. Reed stared at her. You speak Russian and Mandarin? And 10 other languages, Maya said. My grandmother was a UN translator. Reed left looking deeply troubled. An hour later, Maya was notified of an emergency hearing before Judge Mitchell that afternoon. In court, Maya formally requested a security system audit. Your Honor, there are serious inconsistencies in the surveillance footage that suggest tampering. Objection! Whitaker immediately stood. The defendant is simply fishing for excuses. Judge Mitchell seemed unusually tense. Ms. Robinson, do you have specific evidence of tampering? Yes, Your Honor. The reflection in the hallway mirror shows me carrying cleaning supplies at the exact time I'm supposedly stealing the necklace. It's physically impossible for both to be true. Judge Mitchell shifted uncomfortably. Without expert testimony, these claims are speculative at best. Then I request an independent expert to examine the footage, Maya countered. The Sterling Foundation has been very generous to many local institutions, Maya added, watching the judge carefully, including the Mitchell Family Cancer Research. Judge Mitchell's face paled visibly. Several reporters in the gallery began writing furiously. Request denied, he said quickly. This hearing is adjourned. As Maya was led out, she noticed several reporters watching Judge Mitchell with new interest. Her mention of the foundation had hit a nerve. That evening, Maya received another visitor, a woman she didn't recognize who identified herself as a public defender consulting on the case. Once they were alone, the woman revealed herself as Caroline Foster, an assistant district attorney. "I'm not officially here," Foster said quietly, "but your request for Victoria Sterling's phone records caught my attention." Why those specific dates and times? Maya decided to take a chance because they match large international wire transfers from Sterling properties to accounts in Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia. Foster's eyes widened. That's a serious accusation. Victoria Sterling is using theft accusations to create distractions while she moves money, Maya explained. "I'm the fourth housekeeper she's falsely accused in 5 years. The pattern is clear." Foster studied Maya thoughtfully. "I have political ambitions. Exposing corruption in a high-profile case would certainly help my career." "I can provide evidence," Maya said, "but I need access to resources." Foster stood to leave. "I'll review your request for phone records personally. That's all I can promise for now." After Foster left, Maya used her evening phone privilege to call a number David had provided. After 2 rings, a man with a slight accent answered. "Hello? Is this Michael Jenkins?" Maya asked, using the code name David had given her. "Speaking. Who's calling?" "My name is Maya Robinson. David Winters suggested I contact you." There was a long pause. "The maid who's fighting Victoria Sterling in court?" "Yes. I believe you used to work for Sterling Properties as an accountant." Another pause. "I did, until I saw things I couldn't unsee." "Would you be willing to testify about financial irregularities with immunity from prosecution?" "Meet me in person first," the man said. "I need to know I can trust you before I put my life at risk." As Maya hung up, a guard approached her cell. "Robinson, pack your things," he said. "Judge Mitchell has recused himself from your case due to a potential conflict of interest. The new judge has ordered your release on your own recognizance pending trial." Maya stared at the guard in disbelief. "I'm being released?" "New judge named Elaine Watkins reviewed your case personally. She's assigned you to house arrest with ankle monitoring at an approved address. You'll be able to prepare your defense from there." Maya gathered her few belongings, her mind racing. Judge Mitchell's recusal was a huge victory. Someone with power was finally taking her claims seriously. As she was processed for release, David slipped her a note. "Caroline Foster has subpoenaed Victoria's phone records and banking transactions. Found Pierre Laurent, Victoria's former driver. He witnessed previous theft incidents and was paid to stay quiet. He'll meet us tomorrow." For the first time since her arrest, Maya allowed herself to feel hope. The truth was starting to emerge, and Victoria's carefully constructed facade was beginning to crack.